Yo, what's going on, people? So, you're probably like, man, are you doing videos again? Are you um are you making content online? Well, I made that a little short, and I guess so, because I'm sort of just catching up on a lot of the things I'm behind with in my class, thanks to the fact that I have to work a full-time job, which isn't a bad thing. I didn't mean it in a bad way, but it's just a little tough when you are sorry about that. I had I think it was a bee in my car. I wasn't gonna kill it, but I did purchase some, what do you call it? It's like this spray, for like bugs, not to kill them, but they sort of like avoid you when you spray it on your body. I forgot what it's called. It'll come to mind. But I've been studying because I missed work today. Actually, I did oversleep, and I didn't feel right coming in 20-30 minutes late, so I just used the day to study, catch up on some work, because everything in my class is due on the last day. But I'm reading every chapter in my textbook, every PowerPoint. I have this technique of reading where I read one full page a day, and then I try to do like 10, 20 pages a day, and try to get like little facts of information out of what I'm out of the book. But other than that, I'm about to go inside the gym, and this issue of Israel and Palestine has came up in my mind. I mean, it's come up in my feed a lot. Joe Biden is talking about it, and I know a little on the issue. I'm gonna be honest with you. I don't really know too much like I do my own problems, being black and you know, like not accepted generally in the black community. Your own issues, because our issues don't really always concern police or white people. A lot of the time, black people are black people's own problem. Other black people living in certain neighborhoods, violence, crime, you know, being prone to certain diseases. Um, you know, I mean, I'm not saying racism isn't a thing, but I just have my solutions on how to fight it. People don't want to hear it. But relating to the issue, because in my class, I was reading about I have like a project where I'm supposed to basically, and I'm sort of giving away what I'm studying, but whatever. I'm supposed to be researching on and I haven't gotten to the other three, but five organizations, and I'm supposed to get an understanding on their stance on cyberbullying. So one was the ACLU. I had a bad perception of them at first. I just used to listen to a lot of conservative talk radio, and they would say that they were a criminal organization. Like this dude Michael Savage, I used to listen to. But they took down all his videos, censorship, by the way. They removed him from YouTube, so I can't listen to him. But all I remember is him just saying they were a criminal organization. But after listening to them, I actually have a better insight. Like I don't know why he called them a criminal organization, but they actually were in some controversy because they wanted to stand up for the Nazis in this town. It was a little town in Illinois, right? They wanted to have like a rally in this town in Illinois. But the thing was, most of the people in that town were comprised of Holocaust survivors. So the ACLU stood up for them because they felt like they have the right to freedom of speech, no matter how much they disagree or agree with it. And another one was the ADL, Anti-Defamation League. That's an organization for concerning Jewish people and anti-Semitism. And I just saw this little pop-up ad. It just said, "We stand with Israel." And I don't know a lot about the issue, but let me just say this, because a lot of black people, like Tariq Nasheed, I know he'll say how we need to. It was a few people saying how we need to just mind our business, stay out of situation or has nothing to do with us. But let me just say this. If that's the case, then 3 years ago, everybody should have minded their business when that cop in Minnesota that used a technique that he was told to use, he was approved to use by the Minnesota Police Department on George Floyd. Everybody should have minded their business. They shouldn't have gotten involved in that. And I agree, because it had nothing to do with them. It had nothing to do with them. They should have stayed out of it. But, because this is my thing. When people get involved in other people's issues, most of the time, their intentions, you have to watch out for their intentions, because most of the time, they're not there to help you. Like, I don't think no real change was done after all the reformation and the justice system, sort of whatever they tried to do. I don't know what they did when George. I don't know. And somebody answer this for me. What has changed since 2020? Since that civil unrest, I don't really see no real change. But everybody that played a part in the civil rights movement and everything, because like I said, that I'm critical of that too. But they didn't have to do what they did during those times. But everybody wants to be an activist now. But I wanted to say this, because I knew someone that I talked to. He sort of schooled me on the issue of the whole conflict. I didn't know much about it at first, and I just stood with him based off of what he told me. But let me tell you this, and I'm not just saying this because I'm fearful of what Jewish people would do for me if I were to go to the opposing side. But let me just say this. By unanimous decision, I would have to support Israel. You know why? Because, and my mom would have to, anybody in my family that needed a job, and don't get me wrong, I'm still critical of this country and a lot of things, and I have the right to. But whenever I'll need a job, whenever I'll need approval for anything, maybe housing, whatever, anything that I may need to survive, and it's sad and unfortunate, the whites and Jewish people will provide me with that employment, with that whatever I need to maintain living. Other minorities don't do that. We're not hired by other minorities. We're not hired, and if we are, they're not going to treat us right. I told you I work for an Asian guy, and I just needed a job, and I learned from that. Don't take any job that's offered. But he actually didn't pay me, and I had to go and file a complaint with the Department of Labor in Georgia, and I eventually got paid. But after that experience, I never really supported them to begin with, because I don't eat their food, and I don't shop in their stores. But it's like they don't support me and I don't support them, and that's just what it is. But if someone is supporting me with a job, like the job I have now, the temp agency, a white person, put me on to that. And I'm trying I have a few more weeks till I get hired here. But no one is going to really give me employment but the people I just named. So, like I said, by default, I would have to support Israel in this conflict, because without their support they give me, and like I said, I want, don't get me wrong, I want to have it where there are black businesses. There's a monopoly in the black community where we have businesses everywhere. We control everything. But I don't really see that ever happening in the near future. Everything else is owned by another outsider. But I have to support the people that support me. In spite of not knowing the situation very much, like, I just know the fundamentals of it. It was already occupied by another group of people when they were given, that they were given their own country. And That's sort of how every country. That's sort of like America, for example. When America was founded, there are already people here, but we can apply that to a lot of situations. I mean, people in gangs, they'll acquire land that wasn't theirs. They'll acquire like a building. Like I remember New Jack City, they ran everybody out the building. They ran everybody out, and the landlord gave him like like all the rights to the building, and he sold drugs out of there. And I know you're probably like, you don't know what you're talking about. You don't know much about the issue. I don't, but if you were to ask me what do I think about it, I would have to, like I said, I would have to support the people that support me, not knowing much about it. It's almost like this. It's like imagine if you were like close my door. I don't want to think I'm talking to myself. Some guy walking by, but imagine if you were like a white kid and you grew up in like an urban area, and they ask you your take on Black Lives Matter, and you'll have to unanimously say like, well, I support it because of all my friends being black, even though you don't know much about the issue. That's sort of how I am with this. Like I would just have to by default support Israel because, like I said, they support me. With like the Jews and the whites in this country support me through work, and that's what keeps me alive. That's what keeps me, getting by day by day. But that's just my opinion on an issue I don't know very much about. If you ask me, like I said, because I don't want, like I said, at first I was just like, I'm indifferent to it, but I do know a little bit. I will have to support people that support me, and I don't think there's nothing wrong with that. You should support others that are supporting you. It's like if Africans are, if they controlled everything in this country when it came to black people, like they gave us jobs, and then something broke out in Africa, like a civil war, and they asked you whose side you on. I would have to side with the Africans. That's just what I think on that.